Peonies. They're my favorite flower. Who doesn't love beautiful cut flowers? Well, guess what? These aren't real. They're made from paper, and I'm going to show you how to make them. So come with me. Hi, I'm Barbara Wiegand. I'm the Programming Director for the Caring Arts Foundation. Caring Arts provides art and music programming to cancer patients in the Chicagoland area, as well as their families and other people dealing with cancer. Because of the current situation that we're all faced with, we've decided to do some virtual programming to help you guys continue to exercise the creative parts of you and utilizing materials that perhaps you have on hand or that you can find easily. So today, we're going to create beautiful paper flowers, just like all of these that you see here, and the ones that I showed you before, the beautiful peony type flowers in a vase. These are super easy to create. You don't need much. All you really need is a pair of scissors, some tissue paper, which you can get, can be any color, and you can get that at the local drugstore or your grocery store or even at a local craft shop. And then you need some pipe cleaners, which you can also get at probably any of those locations. You might want to check the school supply section or at your local craft shop. They should have them as well. So you can make these flowers almost any size, and I'm going to show you how to do different variations of them. But to begin with, you need a couple of pieces of tissue paper. Now, I like to use 3. That makes a pretty full flower. You don't need to use that many. And I'll show you some different variations. But the main thing to know is that you need to have a square. So this tissue paper I have here is not a square right now. So I'm going to show you an easy way to make a square. You're going to actually just take a corner of the paper. I'm going to take this corner here. Make sure they're all lined up together. And I'm going to take this corner and fold it up so that, try to get it all together, the paper is lined up along the top edge there. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to do the other side because I just tore that. So let's go this way. So make sure the paper is kind of lined up at the top. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then you see there's this excess here. So we're going to cut that off. And that's going to give us a square. So I'm going to cut this off right here. You actually make sure you get through all the layers. All right, we don't need that for now. I'm going to put that aside. So now we have a square. And there are still 3 sheets. I've got 2 pieces of pink and a green. You can use any colors you like. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to create a flower that's about this size, this kind of peony-shaped flower. And now you could actually just choose to leave these squares exactly the size they are. And in that case, you're going to get a great big flower, like this one here. But we're going to go a little bit smaller. So I'm going to fold this over in half. And then I'm going to fold it again. So I'm going to end up with a square about this size. Now, an important thing to note is that you've got these folded edges. You don't want those. You need to cut those off. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to cut through all of the layers. Cut right through that. And then this is a folded edge also, so I'm going to cut that off also. So now I have probably, if I count properly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares. I'm going to take the green ones that are in the middle here, and I'm going to put them all on the bottom. Now you don't have to do that. I'm going to do that because I want the green ones to end up to be looking kind of like leaves at the bottom of the flowers. But you don't have to. You could actually mix different colors all together and you're going to get a multicolored flower and it'll be beautiful. Really, no matter what you do, there's hardly any way to make this wrong. No matter what you do, these things end up to be beautiful. You also notice that my squares are not absolutely perfect. It doesn't matter. They just have to be all about the right size. In fact, I think I'm going to actually, just so my flowers aren't too thick, I'm going to take off 2 layers. I'm going to take off a pink and a green. The more squares you use, the thicker flowers are going to be, but it's also more difficult to take them apart because the paper can tend to rip, and I don't want that to happen. So now what you do, no matter what size square you end up with, this is the next step. You're going to keep all your squares together and you're going to fold over the edge closest to you. The size doesn't really matter. It can be anywhere from a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. But then you're going to fold it back the other way, and basically we're making accordion pleats. So you just keep going back and forth and make these accordion pleats. Super easy. And don't worry about it being, all the papers being absolutely perfect. They don't have to be. Okay, so now I have all my accordion pleats. So the next thing to do is to take a pipe cleaner and wrap it around the middle. Now, you can go very evenly with the pipe cleaner, but I like to actually leave one end a little longer than the other and fold it over. And then the short end going to wrap around whatever is left. And that actually gives us a stem. So we can make use of that nice long stem. Now the next part, there's some creativity involved here and some choices, because depending on what you do next is going to create the kind of flower you want. So you could just stay with this and open this up and it'll be beautiful. But I like to actually cut the edges. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can make a round cut, and that's actually going to make a beautiful sort of peony-like flower like this one. I'm going to go around. It's a little thick, so be careful. So that gives me kind of a round edge there. Cut this a little more so you can see it. Yeah, round. It's very round if you can see that there. Now there's also other ways to cut the edges, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes, but let's do this one first. So I'm going to go on this side and do the same thing. I'm going to cut off a round edge. That way it looks kind of like petals. So there we go. So now we're ready to actually take it apart. Now you have to be careful because the paper's a little fragile. So you want to very carefully peel each layer of paper to the center. And you want to do that very carefully. Pull as close to the center as you can, but be very careful. Now I am going to tell you, don't worry if you rip it. I've ripped them 100 times. Flowers are not perfect in your garden, and these are very forgiving. So if you make a little rip, just carefully keep going and leave that little rip in the center wherever you made it, and just keep pulling apart each of the layers. And you can see it's starting to really come together in the middle. So you keep taking all of these layers and just keep pulling them apart on both sides. I'm going to just grab this one because this one's almost finished. So I've done that with this one here. I've taken apart each layer. I have just a couple of them left here. There's 2 or 3 here on the end. And I keep pulling them to the center. And then the bottom layers, you just pull them up and fluff everything up, and you end up with this gorgeous, now there, you see, I just tore a little piece off. It doesn't matter because you're not going to see it. You end up with this gorgeous flower. So I wanted to show you the couple of other ways you can cut your flowers and make a different style. I'm going to show you, these are smaller squares. Now if you use maybe 4 smaller squares, this size, you just do exactly the same thing. You just accordion pleat them back and forth, and you're going to end up with something that looks like this. Now I've used a small pipe cleaner here. I cut one in half. You can do that to put them into a small vase. But so a couple different ways you can cut these. Not only can you do a round petal, you can cut kind of an arrow triangle sort of shape so that you have a point at the end. And that will give you a style of flower that looks kind of like this one. So you have pointy ends on them. You can also kind of cut little fringes on the end. In order to do that, you just cut into the end so that you have these little fringes. And that will give you a flower that looks kind of like this one. Another thing you can do is to just kind of do a jaggy edge, back and forth. Nothing perfect, doesn't have to be perfect. And that's going to give you a flower that looks kind of like these little sort of marigolds. Now you can see on this one here, I did the same thing as I was doing with that little peony. I left the green parts all on the bottom, so it looks like kind of leaves on the bottom. And then what you want to do is just, create a whole bunch of these flowers, any kind you like, and you can put them in a little vase like this. You can put them, these are really wonderful, these great big puffy ones. Those would be made with a great big square. Now when you do these big ones, they tend to, because they're heavy, so they tend to part ways in the middle. You just squeeze them together in the middle there, and you can actually wrap another pipe cleaner around the end there if you like, and kind of hold that together. And just tie that. You can hang these from the ceiling. You can lay them on a table. And one other little thing I want to show you. So for these peonies, the beautiful peony bouquet I made here, I add this one. You see I have these little buds. And these make it look so realistic because whenever you cut peonies from your garden, there's always those little unopened buds, and they usually have little ants crawling all around them. Well, you don't have to worry about ants this way. But what I did was some of the leftover paper I had to create those little buds. Actually, just take a couple pieces of leftover tissue paper and tear it up into a ball. Roll it around kind of tight so you get a really tight little ball. And it looks like an unopened peony bud. And so then you want to take your scissors. Now you want to be very careful so you don't cut yourself. But on the back of it, just kind of dig in a little bit and make a little hole. And then take a pipe cleaner and stick it into that hole I don't think I made it deep enough there. I'm going to do that again. Whoop. That is not working. There you go. Stick it into the hole and then just add it to your bouquet. And it looks like little peony buds. Another idea, I'm going to put this aside, is this is actually a great idea for showers or for place cards at say your Easter brunch or whatever. I don't know how many people are going to be doing Easter brunch right now, but even for your immediate family, it would be kind of a fun project to do. I took some craft paper here and made a little cone like this. So you could create a little cone and either lay it down with a flower inside, or it's something you could hang wherever from put it around a glass or something like that. So anyway, to do that, you want to take your paper and fold it in half to the corner. So you make a big triangle. And then you're going to cut that in half. Now again, you're starting with a square, and that craft paper that you can get for scrapbooking usually comes in a square. So it's easy to have a square on hand. And then, so you put it down with the point away from you, and put your finger in the middle, and just kind of roll it around until the corners align, like this. You want the corners to align. And then grab some tape. Tape the edge, and then you want to wrap the other corner all the way around. Use magic tape, it won't show. You can glue stick them also, but I like to use the tape. Tape is easy. And then you've got a little cone. You can put a hole on either side and put a little ribbon through it, or just stick a flower in it, just the way it is, and it's lovely. And you could just use that. You could put someone's name on it and use it as a place card. And so one other idea, if you don't have pipe cleaners, or if you have short pipe cleaners, if you don't have pipe cleaners, you can actually use those little twist ties. You can get these at the grocery store. But the problem is they end up very short. You'll end up with a very short little stem, probably even shorter than this one. And so that works for some things, but it's kind of easy and it won't be green. So I thought of a really cool way to extend that. I found these green straws. They actually come in all different colors. I found these at the Jewel. And so if you just take a green straw out of the pack, put it in a little bud vase, and then stick your short stem that maybe is being short because you use these little twist ties, and it makes a beautiful little bud vase flower. So you can do the same with this one here and just stick those in a lovely bud vase, and you've got flowers. These are so easy to do. You can do them with your kids. You can make all different kinds. The idea is to experiment. Experiment with colors, experiment with the way you cut them, and you'll have beautiful flowers. Even though it's cold and dreary in March outside, you'll feel like you brought spring inside, and it's a fun project to do. So that's it for today. We'll bring you some more projects, and I hope you guys have a great day. Hang in there. Bye-bye.